we've reached our final round of highlighted research. And again, if things sort of come up to you as the day goes on, go ahead and type those into the, pardon me, go ahead and type those into the chat function, or you can email the speakers directly. You can certainly reach out to me as well, and we'll make sure your questions get answered. So now we're going to move to growing farm business and communities. And some more fun dairy facts, I guess I'll share. This one relates to economic impact, so it's perfect for this priority area. And that is, did you know that every cow in Wisconsin contributes $36,000 of economic activity to the state per year? And I obviously did a little bit of math while when I first heard that statistic. My husband and I have a small dairy farm, certainly considered small by today's standards. So our 51 cows are responsible for $1.8 million in economic activity to the state of Wisconsin. So I'll text my husband later. And remember, if you have questions, like I said, go ahead and type them into the chat, and we'll get to them. And you know, if you want to go ahead and download our materials, they're linked below as well. So first up, we have Guilherme Rosa from UW-Madison. Welcome, Guilherme.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So I'm going to present our ongoing project, DairyTrader, an instantaneous cull dairy cow price estimation to help farmers' decision. So I'm a professor in the Department of Animal and Dairy Science at UW-Madison. But the brain of this research project is Dr. Lígia Moreira, who's a research associate in our lab. Okay, next slide, please. So the goal of this project is to develop an app, a tool for farmers to help farmers on their decisions, or culling decisions. So this project is a continuation of the PhD research of Lígia. So she developed something, a very interesting research project, and she has this year she published 2 papers. If you are interested, one is listed here, and there is another review paper in this area of cull dairy cows. And I'll be glad to send you the paper if you are interested. So the thing is, so when a farmer makes a culling decision, the cow or cows are sent to a sales barn, and then you have the buyers there representing the meat packing plants, and they are going to bid on those cows and try to buy. So it is an interesting process. If you have never been in a sales barn, it's interesting because it's extremely quick. Cows come in, and the buyers are there, and just with a few seconds visual appraisal of cows, and they have also the information on the weight of the cows, they bid and try to buy those cows. What Lígia found in her PhD, like 2 main things, 2 main finds were that the price paid for those culled cows at the sale barn is highly correlated with the carcass quality. Okay, so the eyes of those buyers is very good. So they are able to find the better cows and pay better price for those cows that will produce better carcass. So that's one thing. And the other is she developed a prediction model using the life history of the cow, trying to predict the price. And we also found a good, so we have a model with a good prediction ability. So we are using the history of the cow, like from software in the farm, like a dairy.com. So based on the age, how many lactations, how the milk yield and mastitis incidence, everything that we have information is fed on these models, and you have a prediction of the price of the cow. But this project is adding another component that is a picture or a few pictures from the cow. So we are developing, so we have other projects where we develop models to estimate body weight and body composition in cattle and pigs also. So now we are adapting this to specifically for dairy cows, where the farmers will have this app to take a picture of the cow. It's a 3D, so the new iPhones or these new phones, they have this 3D capability. So you get a picture that gives the depth of so you can get a sense of volume and shape of the cow. So that's what we are gonna have. So there is this choice of the farmer. So you type the ID of the cow. So if you are thinking about culling a specific cow, you type the ID. And if you have information on the body weight and you can give your assessment of body condition score, you type them here. Otherwise, you take a picture and type the ID of the cow. We are going to retrieve the dairy comp information together with an estimate of the body weight and body condition score from the picture. And based on the average market price for cull cows, we get a prediction for that specific cow, how much the farmer should get when this cow goes to a sales barn. So that's the idea. And of course, this would be free for farmers to use. You take a picture and get a prediction of the price of the cow. So we have a large database that we started during the PhD or Ligia's PhD, and now we are getting more data. And I want to acknowledge Jessica Sederquist, our herd operations administrator, and also Brian Schufelt, our senior financial specialist, because we are digging in on historical data, trying to retrieve data from cows that were sold in the past. And now with a prospective study also, we have an app now to take pictures, upload, send them to the cloud, where we'll develop the computer vision algorithms to estimate body weight and body condition score to merge with the information from the life history of the cow and make a prediction. So that's what I want to show to you, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no.
No, you're all right.
No. Should I answer questions first or move?
No, we'll take Q&A at the end.
Okay.
So
then I'll be glad. Yeah. So then I'll be glad to pass the mic now to Dr. Arquimides Reyes, who's an assistant professor in the Department of Animal and Food Science at UW River Falls. It's with you. Thanks, Arquimides.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, as Dr. Guilherme Rosa mentioned, I'm an assistant professor at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls here. And I had the opportunity to apply for this grant through the DAH. And we're looking at basically composition data or carcass composition data of HolSim branded beef cattle versus your typical Angus Holstein crosses that you see at the dairy farms. We know that over the years, dairy farmers have basically been able to pick black-hided animals so they can get the premiums that we now see at the market and at the sale barns, because we know that black-hided cattle bring premiums. And so we go to our next slide, we're going to sort of explain a little bit of what we normally do in the dairy side. And just to clarify, I'm a beef specialist, so that's sort of what I deal with, beef and meats. And so every time I talk to a dairy farmer, the question comes up, what kind of bulls are you using on your bottom 50% of your cows? And everybody says, I'm using a beef bull. Well, what kind of beef bull are you using? Something black. Okay, so normally most of them don't know. And the majority of the times when they say something black, they're referring to a black Angus individual, or a black Angus bull, I should say in this case. The benefits of that is we get black hided cattle. We get basically pretty cheap and affordable semen just because there's so many of them, okay? And we're looking for to match good carcass characteristics. And normally that's what we're kind of looking for. We know that the Angus cattle are going to marble better. And so if they marble better, they should taste better. And so that's sort of the mentality. Now, throughout the years, I have been getting a lot of complaints about why we're not being consistent. And because as a dairy producer, they're trying to save money, right? It's always about how can I save a little money here while still improve my performance. Lots of times, a lot of producers, and a good number of producers just pick a black-hided animal. They don't really look at the EPDs. They don't really look at the phenotypes to see if they match their cows pretty good. And so when those bull calves come out and they go into a calf ranch or they go into a, let's just say a feedlot, they're very variable. You can have a contemporary group of calves that come in at the same weight. And when they go out into the feedlot, 2 weeks later after you go evaluate them, there are different sizes. Some of them have grown better than others, and some of them are performing better than others. Yes, they're all black-hided, but the performance is different. And you can see this difference not just in growth and feedlot performance, but you also see it at the packing house when they go get slaughtered. We, as industry, has been working on similar projects to this, and some universities are currently have some current data in terms of carcass data, and they have looked at how the crosses are better than just a Holstein steer, because you can get the ribeye to be a little bit of a better shape, more of a beef-shaped ribeye. They have gotten marbling to be in between a Holstein and in between a beef animal. So they're getting a better marbling and better consumer preference. So we gotten to that point, and we know that just by crossing, the hybrid vigor kind of goes through, and we can see some benefits of it. The Holstein Association and the Simmental Association decided to work together and create a branded program that should help dairy producers. The idea here is that we should get a benefit of using this selected bulls that have been selected based on EPDs. Okay, so they're ranked in their top 10% for marbling, ribeye area, carcass performance, and at the same time calving ease. So they're going to have those maternal traits that we're looking for in terms of our dairies. Make sure that those cows are going to be able to calf or those beefers. And then at the same time, we're looking for performance in terms of carcass quality and feedlot performance. Now that we have those kind of bulls selected, the idea is that we're going to try to match them with those cows so we can get a better performance. Right now, we're doing a sort of random bull to cow breeding so we can get those calves, and we can then go and evaluate those calves and see how they perform. We're going to take contemporary groups of HolSim cows, which is a Sem-Angus bull bred to a Holstein cow, and we're going to take those set of groups of contemporary groups of Angus Holstein crosses so we can compare if the Sem-Angus provides a little bit better. We know that we're going to carry that performance in terms of feedlot performance from the Simmental bulls, and we know that we're going to carry the meat quality that we're looking for from the Angus breed. And so we're hoping to get both of them together by getting the Sem-Angus bulls into this group so we can create a branded program that should bring premiums to the consumer. So if we go into our next slides, we'll see how we can do this, okay? And so the idea is we're going to decrease the variability of those Holstein calves so we can have more of a contemporary group, okay? Hopefully we can improve our cattle premiums. We're talking about the premiums when those calves are being sold at the dairy, when they're being sold as either feeders or feedlot cattle, and when they're already to be going into the packing house. So we're hoping to get those premiums by improving the ribeye area size and shape, by improving or decreasing waste in those animals, meaning increasing percentage of dressing, more meat, more money, and improving the efficiency in the feedlot. Because we know that most of the cost of those cattle comes in from the feedlot. And if we're wasting a lot of feed trying to get those cows or those calves to return some of that money back in terms of can they eat less and produce more, that's kind of what we're looking for there, okay? So if we can increase this and we can increase the confidence on those buyers, so our dairy producers should be able to get more premiums. Those premiums are going to trickle down from the packing house all the way into the dairy farmers, and hopefully by doing this we can increase a little bit more income for those dairy producers and everyone in between that's related into buying those calves and growing those calves and taking those calves to market. So we're hoping to have some preliminary data soon so we can sort of get this out to the producers. And we're looking for more dairy farmers that are willing to participate in this program. It's been nearly impossible to find calves or dairy farmers that are willing to get their cows bred to these bulls for the same mentality of, why would I spend an extra $5 on a semen straw when all I'm going to get is a black calf that's going to bring me the same? So if you guys are willing to help us out, we're looking for that. So, and at the same time, we're hoping that this project will create some premiums for you guys in the future by creating a HolSim branded program that's supported not just by the beef industry, but by the dairy industry, as we supported by the Cemental Association and the Holstein Association. Thank you, guys. Next, I think I'm going to introduce Dr. Austin Polebitski, and he's going to be talking to us about a new interface and real-time interaction program. So take it away.
Thank you, Archimedes. I'm Dr. Austin Polebitski. I'm at University of Wisconsin-Platteville, along with my colleague, Dr. Arghya, who's in the computer science program here. Dr. Andy Bonoff is an external partner that's been helping connect us with farmers who are interested in decision support, and our researcher, Adam Welch, is an undergrad who's helping kind of build the system. So the presentation today is on DAIRY, which stands for Data Automation Interface and Real-Time Interaction. If you go to the next slide, please, Maria. The purpose of the DAIRY project is to understand how producers currently use their data in decision-making and to evaluate how decision support systems or frameworks can aid in day-to-day production or decision-making, in real time. And so the hope is that through the use of a decision support tool, herd health and farm revenue are increased if it was being used daily or weekly to make decisions. This project began this past summer, and we've got a couple of farms that are helping us kind of develop and beta test our dashboards and what's going on in the back end, and it's going to go through May 2023. Next slide, please. So for many farms, current data streams are varied and they're not easily collected into one location or one source to be used. For instance, one farm we're working with, they currently have automated milkers, they've got feed tracking software, and then they also have different software that tracks animal health and status. And so we've got 3 different sets of software that each either talk to databases or files on farm or in the cloud. But currently few of the services talk amongst each other, and that could be due to different ownership, proprietary nature, the technology, to do so. And essentially it results in siloed data, which is totally pun intended. Maria, if you could advance the next slide, please. So what DAIRY is meant to do is to help basically collect and collate data from the multiple sources that are on farm and store the data in a cloud-based system. So in addition to just storing the data, in DAIRY we basically build connections that are going to link the different data sets together. So we would link your feed data to the milk production data and eventually hopefully leverage it, against genetics. And so all of this is put together in one kind of central database, and we believe this has got many benefits for farm operations, such as being able to easily compute metrics to help look at revenue and costs, like income over feed costs. You could monitor production by day, by week, by month. You could compare 2 different time periods. Let's say you changed feed type in the last month and you want to see, is it making a difference? You'd be able to do all of that through the dashboard. And then the last thing that we're working on, and this came directly from one of our partners, is the ability to put in some information to forecast changes in things like revenue. So if you think that there's going to be an increase given a new diet, you could look at how that should change production and then analyze whether that happened later on. You could look at what happens with forward milk prices or feed prices. The back end of this system is made up of separate databases for each farm and dashboards for each farm. So we keep all of the data separate. Each farm is able to access only their own dashboard and their own data. On the technical side, if you're interested, we're using Mongo databases, our Shiny server for the dashboards, and Node.js for the website. Next slide, please. So if you're interested in exploring our very beta dashboard, please visit dairyonline.com. We're refining the dashboard. There's a demo one up there now. And as we grow the number of farmers that are participating and we get feedback on what works and what doesn't, we'll be updating that demo dashboard to try to make it an amalgamation of all the things that people want and hopefully remove the things that people aren't interested in. Next slide, please. So in terms of moving forward, we have interest, kind of it sounds like many of the projects do here, in collecting more data, getting more information into our system. We have a survey that we're putting out in the field, just trying to get farmers to take that survey so we get a better understanding on how people use data to make decisions currently, and then we'd like to reevaluate or reapply that survey in a year or a year and a half's worth of time to see if there's any difference in how people use or make use of data or make decisions based on using a dashboard where the interface is pretty easy to use. If you're interested in participating, we're looking for more beta participants. I can be reached by email. It's polebitski@uw-platt.edu. I don't know, maybe we can put that in the chat at some point. But I think I'll relinquish the rest of my time and am excited to take any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, we do have some good questions for everybody. Let me just, yep, I'm keeping an eye on a couple different sources here. Okay, so first one is going to be for Archimedes. Are you seeing any differences in calf birth weight by using the different breeds? And then as a layup to that, are you seeing like difficult calvings with bigger calves?
So far, based on the data that we have collected from some of the farmers, we have had a more consistent birth weights on those Holstein calves. There are on the higher end on the birth weights, but they're being very consistent. And so far, we haven't had any issues with calving ease or dystocia in this case. So in terms of that, we're a little early in the stages to be able to say that we're never going to see any issues. But yes, we have seen bigger or a little bigger calves coming out of those Holstein calves, slightly bigger.
Okay, thank you. Next question is geared towards Guilherme, but probably also applies to Austin. And that would be the app that you're building is free for farmers to use. But with an app like this, there might be some needs for long-term support. So, you know, to host and maintain the app. So have you thought about that? And if so, what could you share?
Yeah, that's a very important question, because that's how all this software and apps that are developed, like the long terms of this. So what do we think about this app? So it's going to be free for sure to farmers. And as farmers use, we can collect more data and improve the algorithms. And one strategy to make this self-sustained is to allow, well, to sell spaces within the app for companies like feed or health companies to advertise. So I think this is how most of apps work. So you may have the option of paying a little fee if you don't want to have any kind of advertisement, or you just allow some people to advertise, and then you have the software for free, the app for free.
Austin, any thoughts about kind of the long-term tech maintenance of your site?
Yeah, I mean, ours, because right now we're in very early beta, you know, we hope to kind of build it up to 10 to 15 farms. It's scalable to that, but with this, because it's so customized farm by farm, at some point there likely would be some sort of recurring fee or some way to deal with not only server time, but the individual customization that's got to happen. Every farm is going to have different data streams, and so that complicates things. And literally we will have to work farm by farm to get them set up to participate or use the dashboard.
Excellent. And let's see here. We've got one more question for Archimedes. So some of what you're doing, there have been previous efforts, and why do you think that some of that needs to be revisited? Why do you think it needs to happen again?
Well, I know in the past previous efforts we're just literally looking at the breed itself, not looking at the EPDs or basically the genetics components of those animals. And so right now we're trying to focus it more on those genetic selections and selecting the right animals that will fit the right cows. Just because you pick a black-hided cow doesn't mean you're going to get the premiums that you should deserve. And so maybe spending an extra $1 ahead of time evaluating those animals could have gotten you an extra $200 at the end of the day. And so we're hoping that by doing this, we're improving more, basically getting a more specific selection of bulls that we're going to be putting out through the Holstein Association. So if you're interested in participating in the program, you will select out of the bulls from this list that we have deemed to match what we consider to get premiums. And then from there, you should be able to get some of those benefits.
And another question, this one is my question, because I'm a marketing person, I'm a marketing brain, and you talked a lot about the branding of the, creating a brand for this new cross. And I guess what motivated that for you, and what are your thoughts on kind of the success that it could lead to?
So like as I mentioned before, I'm a beef person, and I'm more of a meat science kind of guy. And so every time I talk to my students and I mention, when you think of beef and you think of a branded program, what do you think? And the one program that everybody brings up is CAB, Certified Angus Beef. And so far, there is not a program that guarantees a premium for Holstein cattle or Holstein meats. And the idea came about, I was talking to somebody about, hey, we should create a branded program for dairy beef. And somebody goes, hey, the Holstein Association is working on this. Why not work with them? So we reached out to them, and they reached out back, and they said we will be happy to participate. And the Dairy Innovation Hub kind of happened at the same time, the round of fundings, and we decided to apply for it. And so we're working this together because we think that we can get a benefit, not just for our Wisconsin farmers, but for all the dairy farmers out there. The stronger the dairy industry is, the stronger our programs are going to be, the more education we can do and the more marketing we can provide. And I think this is a self-marketable program. Once we get established, I don't think there needs to be a recurring sort of funding per se, because it'll come back from its own dues from the associations.
Great, thank you. One more question. This one's coming from the chat. Victor Cabrera asks, Austin, how are you handling non-standardized data?
Yeah, it's really common. And so depending on the stream coming from the farm, we are either, I don't know how best to explain it, but basically right now it's complicated because farm by farm, the data streams have different things that we have to do to be able to easily get them in, ingest them into the database. So some of those scripts are basically being developed as we add in users with different streams. So whether it's Laley or stuff coming from DairyComp or TMR Tracker or different software. And, I think eventually what will happen is as we add on more farms, we won't be seeing any new formats of data. And then, our scripts will be applied will be more easily taken and applied farm by farm to kind of deal with the cleaning and the wrangling of the data.
Great. Well, we've reached the end of our session. We're right up against our next session. And so I just want to take the opportunity to thank